Coming to you live at Sourwood Farm.
Hello, we are doing mite washes today. We're washing mites. This is what, March 18th in Central Virginia. We're checking on treatment-free colonies to see how they did through the winter and seeing how they are doing with the mite load. So we have here a nice frame of open brood. All different arguments about where you should pull frames, but we pulled this one for today. What's nice with open brood here is that the younger bees are attracted to it, so we've got lots of nurse bees. The downside is that's also where the queen could be laying, and we don't want to shake a queen into our mite wash because everybody that goes in there dies. So we're just doing one last check, see if we see a queen, and I'm going to just do a quick shake. I shook the camera too. Now all the bees are in this tub, and they often will start walking in circles, but our goal here is just do another check for the queen. So nice evening light. This is great for watching. And we're just looking. Queen often will go to the bottom, and the bees will kind of work up the sides more. I think we are queenless here. So now I'm going to give it a thunk, knock them to the corner, and then Kai is going to scoop half a cup of bees, which is approximately 300, and put it in this Dawn dish soapy water container here. So boom, there they go. She's going to scoop. I'm going to get a full scoop. That's perfect. Yes, excellent. In it goes. And then notice she's using the bottom of the half cup measuring to help keep the bees down, and then she'll put the lid on and seal it up and then start agitating. We don't want to do a vigorous shake. We want to kind of do a slow swirl, and the goal here is not to create a lot of soap bubbles, but instead to knock the mites off slowly. If I'm working alone, I'll actually at this point leave it sitting. The bees are still dying and kicking, and that knocks mites down, and I'll go put everything back together while they're doing that, and then I'll come back and agitate for about 30 seconds. But the goal is to have about a minute of agitation. So we are going to pause here and agitate for a minute and then catch back up in a few. There we go.
Would that be easier for you?
And now I'm going to take the bees out. So this colony is the daughter of a breeder queen I call Star Fox, which was a swarm I caught, I think in 2022. It was 2021, I can't remember now. And when we got some genetic testing, it showed up as very high AMM. German black bee would be another name for that, but be the descendant of some of the original bees that were brought in to the US. And I've got a lot of dirt here. Let's see. I see some pollen that fell off. I do not see any mites, so that's pretty great. What I do here is at this little screen, this allows me to just reuse the same liquid over and over and over. So I'm just dump through that screen. I just go ahead and dump it both times through the screen. Probably only have to do one. And I use that liquid up till the end of the day, and then at the end of the day I throw it out, because I found that for some reason, I'm not sure what it is, but if you keep using that same liquid, leave it overnight after it's had exposure to bees, it gels up, and then that doesn't work well for washing. So we're going to just take this over here and dispose of our 300 martyrs. This colony had 2 mites August 2nd, a mite wash of 4 mites, that would be September 11th. Did a Harbo assay looking in the brood and found no reproductive mites, so they got a Harbo 4. Came back in, that would be November 5th, and got a wash of 2 mites, and now we have, and then on the 11th I took 1 frame of brood out because they were almost too strong. I did a reversal, and today we get a 0 mite wash, so that's pretty cool. 318 25. All right. Well,
Thank you for watching.
the other issue that people talk about is, well, I never saw mites, so why should I even do a mite wash and kill 300 bees, because I'm not seeing mites? And this picture is just kind of to show why it's really hard to see mites. They are often on the underside of the bee, kind of up on the belly, tucked in there, sometimes kind of and the folds are up under the legs, and they're just really hard to actually see. And so we're not going to know that we have mites unless we do something like mite washing, monitoring mites falling off onto a sticky board. As the bees are moving around, the queen walks differently, and she's often in the bottom of the tub walking different directions from the other bees and stands out. To this date, I have never knowingly washed a queen. So one of the biggest concerns with washing mites is accidentally getting your queen. The two things I find really helpful are, one, of course, is to look at the frame before shaking the bees, and the second is to spend a lot of time looking at that tub. Other things you can do is to shake from a adjacent frame to the brood nest, so you're shaking off a pollen and nectar, much less likely to have the queen there, and some people feel is a more even mite distribution, although maybe not give you the elevated washes that one might get off of shaking the open brood frame like I did. The reason I'm doing the open brood frame is I kind of want to get the maximum amount. I want to know if I have high mites in this colony, and so for breeding selection, I think that works. But there's, a good argument to pulling off of the nectar frames as well. It's a snapshot, so we're not going to get the most accurate data. I don't think it's possible to get super accurate data with bees. Everything we do is a bit of a snapshot. So day to day if I was to do mite washes, they would vary a little bit, but they give us an idea. Do we have a really high wash? Do we have a really low wash? And that's going to tell us if we have really high infestation or low infestation. But getting a wash of 0, I know I still had mites in this colony. They're just at a low level, and that's good. That's what I want. That's what I'm expecting with a good breeder. But if I was to find a high wash in this colony, then I know that the mites have climbed, and the assessments I did last year showed that they were able to hold the mites down last year, be it maybe low pressure, but clearly they weren't able to hold it down through the winter, and maybe this is not a colony I want to use for breeding, and I might ought to treat. So mite washes, they're not perfect, but I find them super useful and encourage you to monitor your own bees because it's a very good thing to do.